Dear colleagues, hello, good afternoon, good evening. Today we welcome you to our workshop. When we speak about teaching and learning in the new normal, we keep in mind various trends and approaches like hybrid or remote learning, online, offline, face-to-face education. Unconventional conditions of present-day education require not only professionally developed platforms, but also appropriate materials, methodological, innovative practices, which allow educators make teaching and learning English engaging and beneficial. Effective teaching and learning implies inspired, skillful educators performing various roles of leaders, facilitators, researchers, material developers, curators, communicators, collaborators, and many more. Technological advancements provide a wide range of tools to engage students and empower their knowledge and skills. Teachers explore and utilize a whole range of applications to design and introduce assignments and tests, projects and games, online quests and quizzes, and conduct country study lessons to celebrate warm festivals like Christmas and Easter. In other words, global educators develop engaging activities and materials to foster students' language skills in the contemporary world. Deductive and inductive input, brainstorming and storytelling, flashback and feedback, all these and other techniques are applicable in teaching and learning English online on the web. Online quests, quizzes, and games sparkle students' creativity, competitive spirit, curiosity, and raise their motivation. Formative and summative assessments sustain students' reflection and self-assessment skills during remote learning. During our workshop, the speakers will focus on effective tools, instruments, and practices for contemporary English classroom. So I'm happy to give the floor to Artem Morozov, head of the online school for English teachers, Mishki.ru. He will uncover simple ideas for innovative celebrating Christmas online.
Hello guys, hello everyone. I'm very proud to be here. I'm very excited to be a guest. Thanks for having me here. And yes, Christmas is coming. And for many teachers this year, Christmas is going to be online, not offline. But we shouldn't panic. We shouldn't worry about this. Instead of this, let's think really hard. And we will see that Christmas online can be as entertaining and as fun as a usual traditional offline Christmas. Well, what do we have to do to have a real Christmas party online? Well, the first thing we need is a costume. Nothing brings this Christmas spirit to our lessons as Christmas costumes. Well, it's not easy to design a real beautiful Christmas costume, but I think that even elk's horns or a small decoration somewhere behind you, or I don't know whatever it is, whatever your students can do, will do, basically. So you just inform the parents, you work with the parents. If you teach teenagers, you should basically invite the teenagers themselves to decorate their background and themselves with something Christmas-like. And take a screenshot and send it afterwards. It will be a nice recap of your great Christmas party. And this is also a great thing for your social networks, by the way. So number one, costumes. We need costumes. Just without costumes, it will not work. Number two, we need presents. And usually in offline lessons in offline schools, when I worked in an offline school, we used to play Secret Santa. You know, when you are secretly assigned a person who is your Santa and who is taking care of your presents. So you need to buy just one present for one person. In offline lessons, it's easier than in online lessons, but if you teach online, your students don't really need to buy presents. Why not design a postcard on canvas, for example? This can be a nice present, and it's also a small, simple present which they can then send each other. And designing 7 postcards can be challenging. If you have like 6 students in your group, you will have to prepare 7 postcards. This is hard. But if you have to prepare just 1 postcard, you can spend more time on it. And well, it's easy, it's free, and it's still a sign of attention. So online presents will do too. But if you decide to exchange real presents, like real Christmas cards or whatever it is, you need to think about this beforehand, right? Like at least 3 or 2 weeks before the actual party. If you do this, it's a great thing. It's a great idea to play the game called Guess the Present. When the student brings the present, shows it into the camera, so it's packaged, and nobody can see what's inside. And everybody has to guess what present he has received. The student can even unpack the present before the lesson and see what's inside. And then you can play the game called 20 questions, when everybody asks yes or no questions, and the boss, the person with the present, says yes or no. And the rest of the class has to guess what the present is. Well, you can play with your presents or with their real, actual presents their parents gave them. It will be fun in both cases. So, costumes, presents. Number 3, icebreakers. We need a lot of icebreakers. And one of my favorite icebreakers for Christmas parties is, for online Christmases, it's not called anyhow. I don't know the name for this game. You can come up with something else. Something of your own. I usually say, bring something red, bring something green. Well, red is a great color. It's a great color for Christmas. So I usually ask them to bring something red. And they have like 15 seconds to do that. So bring something red, and they stand up and run, take something red, bring it to the camera and show it. And usually it works with anyone, kids, teenagers, adult students, it doesn't matter. So usually when they bring something, it's the first thing they can find, and well, for example, a book, and sometimes they bring really crazy things. And you need to explain what this is and why this is in your flat or in your room. And as a follow-up to this activity, you can then say that we are in a lift, in an elevator, and we got stuck. It's Christmas time. Nobody's going to come to rescue us. So we will have to spend a night in the lift with these red things, and we need to come up with some ideas how we can use these things to have fun at Christmas. For example, I can read the book to all of you guys, and you will enjoy my beautiful voice. For example. All right, so this is usually fun. So icebreakers, you can even come up with a list of things, a list of tasks they'll have to do. For example, bring your favorite Christmas movie, and they have to stand up and find a DVD with their favorite Christmas movie and bring it to everyone and just show it into the camera and explain why this is their favorite Christmas movie and why they like it, what it is about, and so on. This is a great speaking activity, and it's also a great icebreaker because this is personal. And yes, so you say, bring your favorite ugly sweater, and they stand up and run, and the fastest to bring this ugly sweater wins. He gets 1 point. So at the end of the game, you count the points and you choose the winner. Christmas is great for card games, but how can you play card games online? In offline lessons, we have a lot of card games like Monopoly, millions of games, right? But we used to have no card games. Well, at least we used to have no card games. Thanks to Yulia and Nadezhda, now we have card games online. And if you just scan this QR code on my slide with your camera, you will be able to click on the link and go to the website where you can play real traditional card games online, and a lot of games are free. You can subscribe and buy premium subscription, but you can also play for free there. So do this. Quizzes can also be icebreakers. You can create a personalized quiz yourself. Our students have social networks like Contacte, Instagram, and so on. You can go there and find some Christmas photos of your students and create a quiz like this. If your students are young, you can ask their parents to provide you with their old Christmas photos and so on. This is always great fun. So what I basically do, I take a picture, I cut it into pieces and show everybody a small piece of this picture, and everybody has to guess where, for example, Seryoja and Masha were their last Christmas, what they did last Christmas, and then you show the whole picture. It always works. So costumes, icebreakers, presents, and Christmas stories, of course. You can also create Christmas quizzes for Christmas stories like Jeopardy, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, What, Where, When, based on the Christmas story you are reading. You can also do different things. For example, you can design your own gift for the main character. We did it when we read Grinch last year. So you can also design a car for the main character, or a house for Santa. What Santa's house looks like, I don't know. You can also write a letter. You know, we usually write letters to Santa, but why don't we write a letter to the character from the story? And with teenagers, if the author of this story is still alive, you can write a letter to this real person instead of sending a letter to some unreal, imaginary person living at the North Pole. You can write to the actual author of this story and you will get a reply. You can also draw the map of the locations in the story. For example, when we read Harry Potter, we decided to draw the map of Hogwarts. This was great. They had to read the story carefully to recreate Hogwarts. Or you can also take the phrases of famous Christmas characters and you can play the game called Who Said That. You can also, at the same time, you can drill reported speech. So you have a phrase and the kids have to guess who said that. For example, Grinch said that, and then the phrase. And then you give them a small piece, small episode, small part of the story, and they read it and find out themselves who said that. Christmas songs. You can do some traditional activities like correct the mistakes, order the lines, fill in the gaps. You can take your favorite Christmas song and intentionally add some extra words in every line, and they'll have to listen and cross out extra words. One of my favorite song activities is called Guess the Song. So the teacher basically creates a Christmas song list and on the phone. And then when the lesson starts, you ask your students how many seconds they need to guess the melody. And well, say 5 seconds, we'll give them 1 plus, 4 seconds, 2 pluses, 3 seconds, 3 pluses, 2 seconds, 4 pluses, and 1 second, 5 pluses. And you can play in teams, team A versus team B. So team A say, we need 3 seconds. Okay, you press play, you listen to the song for 3 seconds, and then you press pause. And team A need to say what song it is. And then you can distribute the lyrics of the song and you can sing a small part of the song just to have fun. And certainly charity. You know, we send letters to Santa Claus, but there are actual real people, senior ladies and gentlemen who need our attention and who will answer willingly Thanks to Raya Sikanwa, who suggested that idea in my blog. I love this idea. I think we'll do this instead of sending letters to Santa this year. So we'll write letters to real senior ladies and gentlemen. And this is great because this is international communication, and you can talk to a native speaker, and this doesn't really matter if it's not a native speaker even. It will be a real person you will be able to talk to, and you will have to write, and you'll have to answer, and who knows what will come out of this. We will see. I'll tell you. I'll keep you updated. So charity, and this is free for you, for your students, but this is a great gift to all of those grandmas and grandpas who need our attention. And finally, ultimately, Christmas treats. This is always challenging to organize Christmas treats in online lessons, but I think that this year I'll try to send some yummy dry drinks to my students. Just cocoa or your favorite tea in a package. You can send it by post, by usual post, just a small tea bag with a biscuit. And this could be nice to unpack this biscuit, to make some tea during the lesson, and then watch a small part of a Christmas movie. Why not? Well, if you have questions, I'm open to all your questions right now. If you will have questions after my presentation, you can easily find me online on my blog on VK, or you can also drop me a message via email. So yeah, I'm open to any questions. I can't see the chat, so I'll hope that.
Thank you, Artyom, for showcasing quite simple and very engaging activities to celebrate the festival like Christmas Online. And I think that after our workshop, many of us will be motivated to bring change into the English classroom. And now I have one question to ask you. So I would like you to share your, I would like you to recommend, maybe to share some tools and practices and approaches that can help a teacher make learning English online more skills oriented. So I see that you can create engaged lessons.
Right.
And yes, so maybe you can add some more practices and tools, especially tools to make learning online skills oriented.
Well, this is a great question, actually. To my mind, teaching online doesn't really differ much from offline teaching, seriously. And if we look at this, you can basically do the same you do in your offline lessons. The only difference is that you are talking to your students through the camera, and that's it. I would say that do the same. Do the same. Go to online conferences like this. Develop yourself. I think a very underrated and underestimated source of information is books on methodology. That's what we used to do, and this is what we can do in the upcoming year. Well, guys, this year was challenging, and we have managed to cope with many challenges. Some of them are still to be coped in the upcoming year, but I'm sure that with the help of this support, with the help of this of all the people, of what you are doing right now, sharing ideas, exchanging information with other people, helping each other out, standing together, I think that we can go through anything. We can cope with anything. And I'm pretty confident that in the upcoming years, our community will grow stronger and stronger, and we will be able to manage everything. So Merry Christmas to all of you guys. Have a very happy New Year with your family and with your friends.
Thank you, Artyom, for sharing your precious time and experience. To me, an experienced teacher, your practices are quite innovative, quite fresh, and I'm sure to implement them in my classroom. And your approach and your view on traditional classes. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And now I am passing our microphone to Alexandra Goza, a developer of materials for the Russian state exam at Federal Institution of Pedagogical Measurements. She will explore pedagogical design for online lessons of various types. So you're welcome.
Good afternoon, dear colleagues. For the last year, compulsory online studying has been a cause of gigabytes with educational videos free to watch. And we have all seen them, and the quality of this video in terms of content and in terms of sound has been often doubtful. I'm sure you have seen such videos, and definitely you had a thought, I could do much better than this. And it's interesting, those people who upload these videos are not teachers, because we teachers were busy with Zoom, with presentations and learning all these new things. However, maybe some of you have already thought that a recorded lesson, maybe I can do that, and maybe I need to do it. University teachers are already doing it to Coursera and to other platforms. But how to do it? On a live lesson, whether it's offline or online, we have a typical order of what to do. We have a must lesson components depending on the lesson type, and we know how to do it. We know all these instruments, but what do we do if we don't have students? What kind of instruments do we use? It's interesting that I got another education in journalism, and I think I got the point how these two professions can be combined in order to make high quality educational videos. And I would like to share this with teachers. First, I will give you the pedagogical design scheme for a practical lesson, like a tutorial, how to write an essay, how to write a letter. Then I will give you another scheme of pedagogical design, where you give a language input, a more theoretical lesson on teaching articles or present perfect versus present simple, or things like that. And at the end, I will show you the process, how to make the video from slides to filming and uploading it on YouTube, so that you could just do it. I also made two videos and uploaded them on YouTube, so you could watch my example, and here I will analyze its elements. In a tutorial, in the introduction, you say hello, about the teacher, about the topic. It needs to be short. Don't bore your audience in the very beginning. Then, if it's a tutorial, plan of the video lesson is not a must. You can omit it. Then you go to steps. If you teach how to do something practical, like an essay, or in my example, I teach how to write a letter in Russian national exam. In the first step, you show them how to make a rough copy, how to work with the task, what to underline. Then, step 2, you show them the template or the model answer and how it is going to be assessed. Then you show them how to write a paragraph with questions, then a paragraph with answers. Then you show them how your final draft will be graded and what are the requirements. And finally, you say goodbye, thank you, and give your name one more time. So this is a general order of what you do. However, inside there are some techniques for tutorial that we can use. You can highlight typical mistakes. For example, you give it in the form of a test and they need to think and choose, and then you give feedback. It's important to ask them to use pause and play button. Another technique is making overviews. It can be in the form of bullets or in the form of a test with feedback. And also, you know, this eliciting. You can use it too in a recorded lesson. And then you answer. They can always use the pause button. So for tutorial, here are some techniques that can be used. We are quite aware with all of them. And they're good for lesson aims, such as essay writing, telling a story, something practical. When you have this order of events and how they should be done. The second type of lesson and its pedagogical design is language input. And obviously, you intuitively feel that the order of how you give information is supposed to be different. Because we do not have a practical text. If you explain articles or tenses, or in my example, commas in English, here's what I suggest doing. Introductory part about the teacher, about the topic, and since it's a very theoretical thing, you need to highlight why it's important or difficult, or why do you need it for an exam or for some other purposes. Then it's very important to give a plan of the video lesson if your lesson includes some rules. It's important to understand the order, what to expect. Then, you know, this methodology of test, teach, test. Well aware of it, perfectly works in recorded lessons. In the very beginning, you say, try to do this, then I will give you an input and we will do this task again, understanding what should be done. Then comes an input. Try to find some general rule for this term, which is rather easy for articles or for commas. And then start your micro inputs, some narrow sections of one big rule. How you do it is your art. But here are some techniques of these micro inputs. In the beginning, you can give a rule, and then you show exception examples and some drill exercises. Another technique is comparing Russian and English. Also works very good. One more technique is highlighting potential mistakes. First, you elicit their answer. What do you think is right? Then you give an answer and provide an input. And then you say, here are the typical mistakes that you make. And then you give a drill exercise. Next section, after you have finished with these micro inputs, you can make an overview. Then you do this test, teach, test again, because now they understand what they had questions about in the very beginning, and it would be really good if they do not have these questions anymore. You need to make sure of it when you plan your micro inputs. Then you can make a practical summary. For example, for this particular text type, commas are used in these cases, are not used in these cases. And you can make a final test and give keys. The sixth part is a self-assignment. We cannot check their works and give feedback or error correction. So we tell them, open your recent essay and check it, specifically highlighting this particular rule, like commas or articles or whatever you are teaching. In conclusion, I suggest giving a memorable general rule again. Something they will leave your lesson with, and it will stay in their memory. And then you say goodbye, thank you, and give your name. So I have shown two pedagogical design schemes for recorded lessons. The slides were from two videos that I uploaded for YouTube. If you want to see how it works and analyze the elements and maybe to analyze the dynamic and or what could be improved or changed, they are free to watch. I have shown these two videos to my current students, and I got the feedback. They said that the tutorial is perfect. It's clear. It's dynamic and very positive feedback. As for the second language input example, they say it's clear, but they say that they would prefer more drill exercises for these narrow rules. Maybe it's Russian students, high school students, they are used to a lot of drills and a lot of exercises, or maybe it really needs it. But this is the feedback I got from students. So you see that what we started from: live lesson, typical order, lesson components, and I have shown you that a recorded lesson have pretty much the same elements. We just need to think through the order and change the mode a little bit. The last part, how to make a final product. I'm sure that you have already thought that maybe if I had one video that you regularly teach to different students and different groups, I'm sure there is some topic like that, and that could be recorded. What do you do? How long it takes? How much it costs? First step, you make a PowerPoint presentation. Let's say it is going to be a 30-40 minutes video. Usually it's about 25 to 35 slides. And then, after you have made a presentation, you need to test it on a student or a group, because there will be changes, and you will make these changes. You will change the order, you will delete something, maybe here's something is unclear or not enough dynamic or need more drill. And then you send it to a designer if you are not good with PowerPoint, or you do it yourself. And then you rehearse it alone. Then, making a video. You rent a studio. If you want to make it quality, you can call a makeup artist or do it yourself, however. And then you record this video. You get the draft, you watch it, you write comments for film cutter and send it to the cutter, who will make a video. Optionally, you can ask him to make some animation. And then you have a video, you upload it on YouTube or other platform. You show it to students, and it's important sometimes to show it to professionals to make sure that there's nothing wrong, that you do not call a preposition an adverb and things like that. So here you are. Now we we have been talking a lot about interdisciplinarity, and teachers are expected to know a lot of things from other spheres, from IT, from designer point of view, but we are not designers or technicians or journalists who work in front of the screen. It's hard for us. It is challenging. However, online education, with the spread of online education, specialists in other spheres were forced to teach. For example, people in marketing, people in business, people in IT, they're not teachers, but they make lessons. And for us, online teaching, we just change the mode a little bit. But for them, teaching is a whole new job. And they have issues. So if we think about online education in terms of it's challenging, it is much less challenging for us, teachers, rather than for specialists from other spheres who know nothing about. And talking about recorded lessons, you can do it because it's teaching as well, just a little different mode. Thank you.
Thank you, Alexandra, for giving your detailed step-by-step instruction for lesson design. For me, it looks like a project implementation. You even give the budget for a beginner, how to make one's own video, and you showed a very skillful approach to creating recorded lessons. And what is important for me, you projected a teacher as a multi-professional, and you arose a very interesting issue that professionals from other spheres can make their contributions to modern contemporary online education. Thank you very much. And my question to you is, so you demonstrated two kinds of recorded lessons, like tutorials and language input. And are there any other lesson types to be implemented, to be applied in English?
Yes,
teaching?
yes, mixing these techniques and adding some more, depending on the aim of the lesson and depending on the audience, depending on your timing. I can call about 5 more lesson types that have particular elements in a particular order. Sorry, can't hear.
So I would like to ask you one more question, because I guess your presentation is very specific, and it will arise some interest in the audience. So could these pedagogical design schemes like tutorials and recorded language inputs be applied when preparing a lesson offline when students are present?
Absolutely. You can use this presentation, change slides, depending on whether it's recorded or an offline, because the elements you've seen are all the same.
All right, thank you for introducing effective language learning lessons. And I guess many of us, maybe some of them, at least some of us, will start bringing difference into the classroom by trying new skills like a video recorder, a lesson designer. Thank you very much.
I would like to add one more thing, that very soon our pedagogical faculties and pedagogical universities will start preparing specific courses on teaching online and recording video lessons. So it will be somewhere with journalism or working in front of the screen. And the sooner we start learning how to do it, the easier it will be for us in 2 or 3 years when everybody will have to do that.
All right, I agree with you. So it's a new insight for me into modern contemporary Russian education. And now I'm honored to present our internationally renowned expert Ron Morneau, co-founder and director of studies, Language Learning Centers Europe, Germany. He will concentrate on several ways of engaging students by using appropriate practices online. So Ron, can you unmute yourself?
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Let me share screens. Okay, and that means that we have, there we go. And I'll open that up. Are we ready? Well, thank you everyone for being here today, and I thank you for inviting me to the conference. It's always great to see my colleagues in Russia. And I'll just get started by showing you this picture right here. Multitasking in today's new normal. We find ourselves under stress. We feel like that we have to do. There's so many things for us to do. And sometimes we need a little bit of better time management. But we can't forget that we do find ourselves in an online world. And fact be told that we probably will be in this online world for some time to come. So let's make the best of it. Let's see what we can do, and let's talk about some other things that we can be doing in our online learning experience. But I think the most important thing that we have to look at when we're putting things together for this online learning experience is how are we going to increase student engagement in this online world. And so I have 8 points right here that I'd like to go over with you. Well, the first important thing is that we need to make learning a meaningful experience by connecting the topics and the things that we're dealing with students to their previous knowledge, their life experience, and their personal needs. Number 2, we want to foster a sense of competence to challenge learners to reach deeper learning. We cannot go into what deeper learning is today, but if you follow me on Facebook or VK, I always post things, of didactical and pedagogical nature and share those with my colleagues. So do follow me on Facebook or VK where you can get a better understanding of what deeper learning is. But we definitely want to go beyond what students' current levels of proficiency are, and we want to add that aspect of increased complexity, make it a little bit more difficult. We want to challenge them, and there's nothing wrong with challenging students. So number 3, we want students to demonstrate their understanding throughout the learning cycle, throughout the things that we're doing with them, by integrating feedback loops that help students to make progress incrementally, but also for them to see their own progress. So let's not forget that no matter what we're doing online and those activities that we're doing online, you need to ask yourself, are those activities leading to something later on that is supposed to be, or is something that I can assess, and something that's leading to some kind of observable outcomes. And number 4, provide autonomy support to promote self-directedness. We want to give students think time to absorb the activities that they're doing by themselves. Let's not push them online to give us immediate answers, and push them and move them to communities of practice. We know what communities of practice are. We as teachers should be involved in communities of practice, which we call, our professional learning network. That's why we're here today. But students also have their communities of practice. Get involved in them and make sure that you're creating that for students. But we can do some communities of practice online in breakout rooms as well too. So we have to learn how to use all those communities of practice. Number 5, embrace collaborative learning. Well, we know that they're there, and we can never remove the social elements and social factors of learning. Students are speaking to one another. They did it at school face to face, and don't think that they're not doing it, because they are doing it on social media, on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, VK. They're there. Let's use those things to create some communities of practice and get students to start collaborating with one another. At number 6 right there, establish positive student-teacher relationships by increasing one-to-one time that you're having with students to build trust and a sense of belonging when you're with your students. Students need to feel that they belong, and they get lost in this online world and sometimes feel that they don't belong. So it's our responsibility to do that and promote mastery orientation mindset by encouraging various creative approaches to performance assessment. We can't get into what performance assessment is, but we're going to get into something about performance, okay? And framing those in terms of the set outcomes that the learning outcomes that you have set for them, whether that be formative or summative, okay? Because everything that I do usually works within frameworks. And integrate learning to learn sessions with your students and teach them how to learn online. Don't expect that they're going to be perfect in the beginning. And it's going to take a while for them to get used to it. So those, I think, are the behavioral, emotional, and cognitive aspects that we should be taking into consideration when we're doing things with our students. Well, everybody who knows me knows that I like graphic facilitation. And today I want to give you some ideas about other things that we can do. We need to get our students to start telling stories about themselves and their world. And sometimes students need a little bit of help to do that. And this is why it's great to use prompts. Now, I wrote here writing prompts. You can call them anything you want, but usually there are other skills involved in these prompts that I'm going to show you. Well, everybody who knows me has probably already seen that, okay? And they probably think that that's the only mind map that I use, okay? So I involve writing prompts, okay, and all kinds of prompts with different kinds of graphic facilitation. It's just not this one right here. I use this one as a model because that's the one that I get students to draw. That's the one that I send to them in the beginning. But we need some color in our life. And that this is one of the first ones that I ever created. It goes back actually to about 1994. And I've always just used it, and I changed the colors of it. I make it black and white, and I send it to them. But I want students to start using graphic facilitation, so I give them a blank one so that they can start getting used to mind mapping and getting away from that vertical way of seeing things. And I'm going to throw some problems at them, okay? And those problems are going to be in the form of a prompt, okay? But it's not just that one. Prompts can be in the form of a tree, okay? It could be anything you want to create your own right here. This right here is something I found on the internet, and I wanted to get students away from some of the ones that I usually use. So this is the why I use a tree right here. We could add all kinds of different things to this. And here it was created with Post-it notes, okay? I never forget that I am leading students to create something. I don't show this to them in the beginning, but I know this, okay? And I've always kept this because when we get students to start speaking and writing, it has to be in a structured way. But in the beginning, I just let them brainstorm their ideas when I give them the prompt. But eventually I will show them this right here, but I don't show them to them in the beginning. I'm showing it to you right now so that you know that there is some structure to the things that I do. I know what I'm leading the students to. Well, there are Post-it notes. We can create this this is another way of using prompts. And I have to say that I love to use Padlet as well, when I'm doing this right here, because this is actually from Padlet right here. But of course, we're talking about storytelling and prompts, okay? Well, let's move. Let me show you an example. We're in the holiday season right now. And I've done this quite a few times in the last month with some of my students, and really leads to a lot of interactive discussion. Now, I put in there and I read it to them, but I, also give it to them online. Of course, I do send them this because I want my students to have think time. Make sure that when you send, you're using prompts like this, that you do send it to them before class. Do not expect for them to be able to answer these questions immediately. That's not fair to the students. They need to do some research. They need to find some vocabulary and put it together, piece by piece. And that's why it's broken down into these little Post-it notes right there. I even tell students, just get a white piece of paper, put a bunch of Post-it notes on there, put your notes, put your thoughts there, and then after you start to structure your your talk, how you're going to present the results of this prompt that we're doing right here, then move the Post-it notes on the paper to the structure that you want. Okay, so they're getting that time that they need. I suggest give them 3 days before you do this with them online, so they have that think time. Let's not expect our students to answer the prompts that we give them immediately online. Okay, again, that's not fair to the students. But here we're talking about Christmas. There's some cultural aspects involved in that, and here also Santa Claus. And here is during the Christmas holiday season. Images of Santa Claus are everywhere, and young children often line up to take pictures with adults dressed up as Santa. Some people feel that children should not be led to believe that Santa Claus is real. Do you agree? Why or why not? Use specific reasons and examples to support your position. This is such a great prompt. Now we see that it's put into a cultural aspect. Experiential learning is going on there. In other words, we're going to get that person to talk about their experience, okay? Now again, I haven't shown them the structure yet. I just gave them the prompt and a little worksheet. We're going to give them the think time. They're going to work out the language, okay? And then they're going to come back to us. We're going to be online, because I believe that having great, successful online learning experiences means optimizing that online learning experience. That means using the time wisely and effectively so that we get students to really start performing and doing things online. So that's the one that I use. But you see, I use the same thing, and here I go a little bit deeper. Okay, because this is the one that I give them later on. Once they're used to working with prompts, they will get used to going deeper and deeper, and we need to start giving them ideas of how to break that prompt down. I believe in graphic facilitation. Again, just use mine as a model, but create your own. Prompts don't always have to be colorful. I just like these because I think it's really nice to have some color in there. They can be black and white, okay? And here, sometimes students can't think things out for themselves, especially when they're barely beginning to learn how to work with prompts. So we give them a question, okay? And sometimes the questions are hypothetical. Usually they are. And as you can see here, let us not forget that we want language, okay? So when you're using prompts, sometimes it's good to use would, could, should, questions that use modals, and then give them some ideas to work with, something that leads them to start thinking about that and putting that conversation together. But again, we're talking about prompts and storytelling, and in this way, when they come to class, they're prepared, because this is the flipped classroom that we're talking about. And when we're talking about the flipped classroom, we're also talking about optimizing that learning time while we're online. So again, I'm just using prompts. And again, there's other ways to use prompts. Here's another way to use a prompt. You can create these yourself by giving them choice about what they want to talk about. Always give them a minimum of 2 topics, and then give the topic a name. Ask at least 2 questions. For your higher learners, you can ask 3 or 4 questions, and add some pictures to that to help them as well, to give them a little bit of visuals, okay? And this is just another way of working with prompts, okay? I have so many of these right here, and this again is another way of engaging learners online and optimizing that language learning experience that you're sharing with them online, and then getting them to, of course, speak and write. Now, before my students come online, I want to see their work. So I do have social media sites where they do have to upload their notes. That they're doing their homework, they're getting ready for the flipped classroom, that they know what the flipped classroom is, and that they know what their responsibilities are. Well, that was just an example of some of the graphic facilitation that I used, and how I use prompts and graphic facilitation to optimize the online learning experience. And here, I do give students a list of prompts, okay? And I never add more than 10 prompts. So I let students choose from the list that I put together. And here they get to say, well, I want to talk about number 4. Well, it depends on how many students we have. But, we can add as many prompts as we want. And let's try to understand what the students are interested in. And if a student doesn't see a prompt that he likes or she likes, well, let them create their own, okay? But these are the examples that I use in the beginning. And as I said, I have many lists from these right here. Here are some other prompts you can use. And again, this is involving experiential learning. As you see, number 1, it's about Christmas. But getting students to talk about themselves and their world. And if you're busy taking notes right now, I want you to know that I'm going to give you a connection to 500 prompts in just a minute to help you put your online learning class together using prompts, getting students to tell stories, getting them to speak and to write. Because let's not forget, it is about language learning and combining all the things that we can about the student to be engaged in this online learning experience. Here's some more prompts for you right there, okay? Using, imperatives like explain, describe, and tell. And you can create so many different things for the students, but here it's like cause and effect. Now, don't forget, okay, that we're getting them to do, to create a story online. Well, if you want to have 501 writing prompts to already get your students engaged in that online learning experience, all you have to do is just Google 501 writing prompts, and you're going to get the best thing you ever had to get those students to start getting engaged in that online learning experience. Well, everybody knows me, and they know, okay, that you can use these as prompts as well too. You can use these as prompts. Again, they're just models. These were actually created by me, but they started with the prompts that I just showed you and started with that PDF that you can Google online. So again, these are all the things that you can do to make that online language learning experience interesting and engaged for students. My advice to you, okay, and suggestion to get students engaged, use writing prompts, combine graphic facilitation, and give them think time so that they will be able to, follow you and really get engaged again in that positive online learning experience that we should be giving them. Thank you for coming, and that was my tip for the day.
So thank you, Ron, for introducing a wide variety of activities, practices, very useful and very specific, personalized, created on your own to activate students' experiential, behavioral, and cognitive learning engagement during the lessons. And the question I would like to ask you, so I see that all of your activities are student-oriented. They imply optimizing learning time online, and all of them are aimed at students' successful performance. I would like to ask you some specific question. As you are an educator from a global environment, I would like you to talk about skilled orientation of education, because Russian standards are skills oriented. We lay emphasis on quality education, that is developing students' competencies and skills. Can you recommend any specific, maybe tools, platforms, instruments for developing the 21st century skills, because global education is keeping this in mind? Can you?
Well, I just was in a talk about 21st century skills, and everybody thinks about the 4 C's as the 21st century skill, but there's actually 16 of them, and so I do ask people to please Google to see what really 21st century skills are. It's very difficult sometimes to create activities for people when you don't understand, what all of those skills are, and the skills that we need to be integrating into the activities that we plan for our students. So my suggestion to everybody is get to know what really all the 16 skills are, and ask yourself how you're creating activities to integrate them online, and how you're connecting them to the formative assessment and summative assessments that you're doing, and how you're connecting those assessments to the outcomes that you want to reach for your learners. I think, by taking constructive alignment approaches and frameworks to our planning will help you to really create engaged learners and an optimal online learning experience for your learners.
Thank you very much, because so these days education, especially in my region, in the Asian part of Russia, is talking about the 21st century skills. And you are quite right that first of all we should get the whole idea, the deep idea, understanding of those, of the concepts of those skills, and then we can try to adjust Russian competence-oriented education to developing 21st century skills. Thank you.
I think that a lot of teachers are doing it already, but they probably don't actually know that they're doing it. One of the biggest motivations in my life as an older teacher, I'm 62 now. One of the greatest things that have happened to me in my teaching career was coming to Russia, meeting Russian teachers, which challenged me so much, okay? It was a different world, a different way of teaching. It was so motivating to me that actually it brought new life into me. It re-motivated me to meet teachers who were doing great things, and to feel that I could be part of that community has only just been one of the greatest pleasures in my later teaching career. And I'm just so happy for it, and hope so that I can get the chance to come back and be with my fellow colleagues in Russia face to face, and sharing my 30 years plus of experience with all those wonderful ideas that I can share with them to, bring them to the point where they can be proud of themselves. Because as I said, I've learned that a lot of Russian teachers are motivated, they're in there, they're doing great things, and they're actually doing things that maybe are a little bit different than Europe, but they're there, okay? We just need a little bit of help and push, especially for the young teachers, okay? But I always look at some of the young teachers. I've learned a lot from young teachers, so I have to say, thank you very much for inviting me today. It's been a pleasure sharing with you, and I look forward to meeting my colleagues soon in Moscow and other parts of Russia. Thank you.
So thank you, Ron, for appreciating the work we do in Russia. And I agree with you that we experienced educators often learn a lot from younger colleagues, like I did yesterday and like I'm doing today. Thank you very much, my partners, co-partners, for teaching me new approaches, new ways of language learning. And now we are moving on to Julia Vershinnikova. She is our final speaker, the last but not the least. So she's the winner of the All Russian competition for iTeacher 2019, co-founder and online platform Znanie, and she's also the English teacher from school 1482 in Moscow. She will focus her attention on innovative ways of teaching and learning English in distant mode.
Teaching. Yes, in distant teaching. First of all, I would like to just remember about March 2020, when the lockdown happened and all the teachers had to teach online. And many teachers felt really frustrated, and we started to try many new tools for us. And this process was extremely exhausting, when we had to work 24 hours a day, when we had to check screenshots, and when we met the low involvement of students during the lessons, when they had unstable internet connection, when they hid behind the black square and just typed something like, I don't have a microphone, or I don't have video, and in such conditions we had to work. But actually, we met a lot of new tools for us, and they can work really well. And as you know, the standard lesson has 3 stages, and the variety of tools is really impressive. So during the presentation stage, we may use video lessons, online boards, for example, Miro and Jamboard, so PowerPoint presentation and other kinds of presentations. And when we go on to practice, of course, your favorite Quizlet and some quizzes, Kahoot, ESL worksheets, some platforms like ProgressMe and Core, and platforms like Learning Apps, WordWall, SkySmart. These were the new materials for us. So actually, all of us know how to use them. And when it goes to production, some of us use mind maps, Mentimeter, Online Testpad, Google Forms, maybe sometimes WhatsApp, and even social nets. As for me, I usually use WhatsApp for voice messaging with my students, where they can answer my questions, they can read some text, or retell, just film a video for me or something like that. But the problem for me was that I had to use too many tools at once. So, for example, we learned words at Quizlet, then we went to ProgressMe, and then we went to online Blackboard, online board, and so it was quite difficult for me. And actually, as a co-founder of the platform Znanie, we started developing it about 3 years ago. And the only thing that we could do on this platform is to drill the vocabulary. That was the main aim of the platform. But then we decided to develop it further and add some other features. And when we did it, I started using only one tool instead of all these tools during my lessons, and I'm going to show you how. So first, about vocabulary drilling. as a teacher, I create a set of words. I may use not only single words, but phrases, phrasal verbs, small sentences, and other variants, as you wish. Whatever you type in the field when you create a lesson. You may also add pictures, small videos to just to make your lesson colorful and more interesting for your students. And after that, you, as a teacher, choose the number of repetitions for each task. And the main idea is that the final test is closed, is not available for the students. But it's not going to be available until students get not less than 90% for each task. And that is the main idea of the platform, because when I used Quizlet about 5 years ago, I noticed that many of students just take a test, do the test there, and they open their books, they do the test, and they have the results on Quizlet, but they do not know the words, that they cannot use them. And after Znania, when my students started doing exercises, started doing tasks there, so now they have no problems with vocabulary at all. I'm talking about students that are really completing the tasks. And about the teacher's control, I will tell you afterwards. So multiple repetitions, that's the key to success. Next, we train different types of skills during this way to the final test. So when we need to listen, then they listen and choose the right variant. So matching, writing skills, 3 tasks for writing skills, because our children, our students have a lot of troubles with writing, and that's what I meet every day in our schools. So now at least my students don't have any troubles with writing. And of course, each student has a chance to improve result and feel successful. If a student gets, for example, 50% for the final test, the lesson is not closed for him or for her, and a student can make it again. And of course, to improve the result. So now about grammar. When creating a lesson, we've got 3 variants. We may create vocabulary drilling lesson, and we can create assessment lesson tasks for our students. So here are 5 different variants for the assessment tasks. It's multiple choice, true, false, make up sentences and fill in the gaps, and choose the correct option. So as for filling in the gaps, students may either choose the correct variant, the correct option, or type it in. So it depends on what teacher tells them to do, on what teacher creates in lesson. So here you see the make up the sentences task. So Goldilocks called friends, and of course the students should place the words on the correct place. Okay, so next here we can also use pictures, video, and audio and listening activities. You can add whatever you want, and of course it's quite it works effectively. And the last but not the least variant of the lesson is interactive video lesson. So interactive video is an extremely interesting activity for children. And here we have an active listening. What does it mean? It means that students have not only just watch and listen, they have to do some tasks, to do some exercises. And teachers, when creating such kind of lessons, just use any video from the YouTube. It may be some part of a movie, it may be some part of advertisement, it may be some part of video lessons with explanation of the grammar rules, I don't know, whatever you want, whatever content you want to your students to watch and to listen, you may use it. And after that, you add tasks to this video. And students just listen and watch, and video stops. They make their choice. They make one of these tasks, and the tasks are the same as in grammar and as in the assessment type of lessons. And of course, the results can be improved, but students cannot finish the lesson until they watch the video up to the end. And they can, of course, they can improve their results, and it works really great with my students, because the main thing of this platform is that the results of all the lessons come to one log. Yeah, here you can see my my log, and different types of lessons and different types of results. And I can control the process. I can control the process of learning, of drilling vocabulary. Yeah, I can control the process of grammar training, and of course the process of working with video. And then what else? Yeah. The control can be not only from teachers, should be not only from teachers, but students should be controlled by their parents too. And so what can parents do? They can enter the student's account and just watch and just find out what lessons were done, what lessons weren't completed yet, and just make students improve the results, and just control the process. And it makes it really effective when parents start controlling their children. And another problem I faced was that students spent too much time with gadgets, with computers, when it started in March. So there were many complaints that teachers from different subjects just use too many tools, and students spend too much time with the computer. And then I just gave an advice that before doing vocabulary drilling exercise, just let them learn the words with no computer. Just look into the book, look into the student's book, just write these words in your notebooks, and after that it will take about 5 or 7 minutes to complete the whole task. And so that I could see the results and the student could feel the results. And then, as for grammar, first I advise to read the explanation in your students' books, and after that you do the exercise, you do your task on znания. And the main advantage of all this process for me was that each student works in a comfortable and individual pace. They don't have to just, if someone is missing during the lesson, they can learn the material and they can learn the words, they can learn the grammar without me. Of course, there's no disciplinary problems when we work in such way, and we train all the main skills there, including vocabulary, including grammar, including including listening. And during our online meetings, of course we train our speaking activity, our speaking skills, but this is the topic of another speech. So, and my students feel really inspired when they do the exercises and work the way I teach them.
All right. Thank you, Julia, for presenting your innovative platform, which helps develop students' skills, various skills, in a beneficial way, both for teachers and students. And so as far as I see, it is mostly used for online learning and teaching. And when we are in the conditions of hybrid learning, so today we are online, tomorrow we are offline, how can a teacher and students can apply this platform for offline mode?
So actually, when we started to develop this platform, I started to use it during my offline lessons. And of course, all the words that we needed to learn, we learned it through this platform. I usually give the tasks as their homework. So we worked during the offline lessons when we met, and at home they did all the tasks on this platform, and that wasn't a problem for us. And they didn't feel any differences in March between two types of work, online and offline. They felt quite comfortable.
Thank you. I guess developing your materials, educational materials, is quite time consuming, but it is rewarding.
Yeah.
In the long run, it is rewarding.
I absolutely agree. And I forgot to tell you that the platform is absolutely free for teachers, by the way, and it's free for students when they use their computers. But there is an option for students. They may download an application, and the application costs 150 rubles per month. But students have the option to just complete the tasks on their computers for free.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Julia, for performing, demonstrating your new possibilities and opportunities for English teachers. All right, now, dear friends, our session is coming to an end, and I would like to sum up the main points of our discussion. So today we had four presenters, four speakers who focused on various aspects of teaching and learning English online. We touched upon an innovative culture-based practices in creating festivals online. We learned about creating recorded video lessons and interactive lessons. We also had a very detailed overview of focusing on the students' engagement in online learning, like behavioral, emotional, and the cognitive engagement. And from Ron Morneau's presentation, I made a conclusion that it is very important to build up online learning, student-oriented, especially in terms of planning on wise time planning. So students should have enough time to do all the activities, and besides, they should have enough prompts on teachers' part to be more successful in their performance. We learned about new platforms which are quite helpful in creating successful online language acquisition. From our performances and discussions, I can draw some issues to be still discussed and considered in the future. So one of our presenters mentioned that it is important to provide quality resources when teaching online. So a teacher is responsible for the quality of the materials he or she uses in remote learning. That is one of the issues to be remembered. And what is more, we should, so we know that teachers, especially contemporary teachers, are multitaskers. They are capable of doing lots of things at one time, but so they have also another ability to be multi-professionals. They can develop, and they are developing successfully ICT skills. They learn the basics of graphic design, and they can even design video lessons. So that and one more point arises that these days during contemporary education, even other professionals can be involved into education, like real journalists, maybe filmmakers, and other jobs can contribute to contemporary education, especially online. So, so I guess
I would like to add one thing.
Yes.
And that is, let us not forget that language learning is not just about mechanics. It's not just about grammar and teaching people vocabulary and giving them vocabulary lists and to memorize. It's a lot more than that. And we as teachers, we can do all of that because we're multitaskers, and we can design those classes and we can get all that done. We just have to sometimes rethink how we do things, but definitely it's all possible. And let's get beyond learning for the test. Let's go beyond language mechanics. Yes, we need grammar, but that's only the basis for what we do. We do a lot more than that. And you know, our students deserve to be prepared for the future. It's our job. So let's take our job a little bit more serious. Get into your, your personal development and create great lessons. Get your students engaged because that's what makes our job more interesting.
So yes, we should make. So we should keep in mind that education is student-oriented, and it should, especially teaching and learning English should be practice-oriented. And what I focus mostly is authenticity, using authentic activities, authentic situations, materials to make English more applicable in the future. Yes, I agree with you, Ron. So, dear speakers, do you have anything to add to our performances today? So thank you very much for your insights, and I was very pleased to hear other opinions from different ages, different regions, and to learn more from each other. Thank you. Hope to see you in the future. Stay safe. Bye.